I overheard my fiancée mocking my hardworking parents at her bridal shower. So I canceled the wedding and exposed her family's hypocrisy. I thought I had my life figured out. I'm 32, and I'd been with my fiancée for 5 years. She's 28, and I thought we were in love, building a future together. We came from different worlds. Her family's wealthy, mine's working class, but I thought that didn't matter. She always acted like she respected my upbringing, even saying once she admired my parents for working hard to give me a good life. Looking back now, I can see that was just talk. My parents don't have a lot of money, but they've always been generous with whatever they had. My dad owns a plumbing business, and my mom was a librarian before she retired. They're not flashy people, but they're proud of what they've built, and so am I. I grew up with values like hard work, respect, and living within your means. That's just how our family operates. My fiancée, on the other hand, grew up in a bubble of wealth. Her parents have multiple properties, cars, and a social circle filled with people like them. I always thought she was different from her family, though. She never made a big deal about money, at least not at first. She used to tell me that she didn't care about all that and loved how grounded I was. Turns out, that was all bullshit. It all came crashing down at her bridal shower. I wasn't even supposed to be there. It was an all-women event, but I ended up going because she'd forgotten a few things at our place. I figured I'd drop them off and leave, no big deal. Her mom told me to leave the stuff in the kitchen and head out, so that's what I did. As I was walking out, I heard her voice coming from the living room. She was laughing, and something about the tone made me stop. Can you believe they actually offered to pay for the flowers and cake? $1,000. What are we supposed to do with that? Buy carnations and a sheet cake from the grocery store. The room burst out laughing. Someone else, her sister maybe, added, "It's embarrassing. They still live in that little house, don't they? Like, are we supposed to pretend we're not marrying into that?" She chimed in again, still laughing, I know, right? Poor, my name just doesn't get it. He thinks it's all so charming. Honestly, if it weren't for me, we'd probably be having this wedding in his parents' backyard with a potluck and a keg. I stood there frozen. The woman I was about to marry was trashing my parents, the people who had worked their asses off to give me everything I have, and laughing about it with her friends and family. Her sister laughed and said, "You're probably going to end up paying for most of it anyway. I mean, let's be real. He's not exactly rolling in it, is he?" My fiancée didn't defend me. She laughed along. I didn't stick around to hear more. I walked out, got in my car, and drove straight to my parents' house. I didn't know what to say at first, but eventually, I told them everything I'd heard. My mom looked hurt, but she tried to play it off, saying, "We just wanted to help." My dad didn't say much, just nodded and told me to take some time to think about what I wanted to do. I spent the next few days going over everything in my head. This wasn't just a one-time thing. It was part of a pattern I'd been ignoring. Like the time she suggested my dad rebrand his plumbing business because she thought the name was too old school. She even offered to have her dad's marketing team help him modernize for a fee. When I told her my dad was proud of his business and didn't need to change it, she said, "I'm just trying to help. It's not a big deal." Then there was the guest list for the wedding. Her parents wanted to invite over 200 people, while my side had maybe 60. When I pointed out that the venue couldn't hold that many, her mom suggested upgrading to a bigger, more expensive place. When I said my parents couldn't afford that, she actually suggested cutting some of my family from the list. I told her, if my family isn't welcome, then maybe I'm not either. She called me dramatic, but we ended up keeping the original venue. Even the wedding favors were a problem. My mom had spent months making custom shawls and little wooden keychains for the guests. When my fiancée saw them, she said, "These are cute, but maybe we should go for something more polished. You know, something that fits the theme better." She wanted to throw them out and order something else. I had to fight to keep them. And don't get me started on the prenup. I didn't mind signing one. I get that people want to protect their assets, but the terms were ridiculous. Basically, anything we got after the wedding would automatically be hers unless I could prove I paid for it. When I brought this up, she said, "Well, my family's assets are more substantial than yours, so it makes sense." But the bridal shower was the final straw. I couldn't marry someone who thought so little of my parents, or me for that matter. I confronted her a few days later. I told her I'd overheard what she said at the shower. At first, she tried to deny it, saying I must have misunderstood. When I pressed her, she said, "Okay, fine, I said it. But it was just a joke. You're taking it way too seriously. How is mocking my parents a joke?" I asked. "They're sweet, but let's be real, they're out of their depth here. I mean, come on, your parents live in a tiny house and drive old cars. It's not exactly the lifestyle I'm used to. Then why are you with me?" I shot back. She rolled her eyes and said, "Don't be so dramatic. I love you, but you're not exactly Prince Charming. I've had to make compromises too." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Compromises? Like what? I don't know. Just things. You wouldn't understand. That was it for me. I told her the wedding was off and walked out. She blew up my phone for days, alternating between apologizing and blaming me for ruining everything. Her family even got involved, accusing me of wasting their time and money. I told her parents, "Your daughter doesn't respect me or my family. I'd rather deal with this now than after the wedding." My parents were sad but supportive. My mom said, "We're proud of you. You deserve someone who loves you for who you are." My dad just gave me a pat on the back and said, "You made the right call." Since then, her friends and family have been trashing me online, calling me selfish and immature. I don't care. I'd rather be single than spend my life with someone who looks down on me and my family. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know I made the right decision. My parents taught me to stand up for myself, and that's exactly what I did. The fallout was messier than I expected. Her friends started texting me, asking if I'd lost my mind and calling me every name in the book. One of them even said, "You'll never do better than her. Do you really think anyone else will put up with your broke family?" I didn't reply. I blocked every single one of them, including her. Then came the real blow-up, her parents. They called me in a rage, accusing me of humiliating their daughter and threatening legal action over the wedding expenses. Her mom shouted, "Do you have any idea how much we've already spent on this wedding? You can't just walk away." I stayed calm and said, "Your daughter disrespected me and my family. The wedding is off. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but I'm not marrying someone who looks down on the people who raised me." Her dad chimed in saying, "This is the real world, kid. People talk. Get over it. That might be how you live, but it's not how I do," I replied before hanging up. A few days later, I started getting emails from vendors about unpaid deposits and contracts. Apparently, her family decided to pin everything on me, claiming I'd agreed to foot the bill. I had to hire a lawyer to sort it all out, which wasn't cheap. The lawyer assured me that since I hadn't signed any contracts, I wasn't legally responsible. Still, it was stressful. Meanwhile, my ex-fiancée kept trying to spin the story. She told mutual friends that I was emotionally unstable and couldn't handle a confident woman. A couple of friends believed her at first, but once I told them what happened at the bridal shower, they quickly changed their tune. One of my friends said, "Honestly, man, you dodged a bullet. Imagine spending your life with someone like that." The whole situation made me question everything. How had I missed so many red flags? There was the time she tried to guilt me into buying her a designer purse, saying, "It's just one little splurge. If you really loved me, you'd find a way." Or the time she suggested I ask my parents for a loan so we could upgrade to a nicer engagement ring. It wasn't just about money either. She had this way of making everything about her. If I had a bad day at work, she'd say something like, "Well, my day wasn't great either. Why don't you ever ask how I'm feeling?" If I ever pushed back, she'd call me selfish or accuse me of being controlling. Even the little things started to add up. She once got mad because I wouldn't skip my mom's birthday dinner to go to a last-minute party with her friends. "You're such a mama's boy," she'd said, laughing like it was a joke. But it wasn't funny to me. After the breakup, I started to see how much of myself I'd lost in that relationship. I'd spent so much time trying to make her happy that I ignored my own needs. I let her walk all over me because I thought that's what love was: compromise, sacrifice. But love isn't supposed to feel like a one-way street. My parents were my rock throughout the whole ordeal. My mom kept saying, "You're better off without her," while my dad just listened and let me vent. They never once said, "I told you so," even though they'd had their doubts about her from the beginning. Eventually, word got around about why the wedding was called off. A few people from her side reached out to apologize, saying they had no idea how bad things were. One of her cousins even said, "Honestly, we all thought you were too good for her. She's always been a bit entitled." It's been a few months now, and I feel like I can finally breathe again. I've reconnected with old friends, thrown myself into work, and started focusing on what really matters: family, friends, and building a life that feels authentic to me. As for her, last I heard, she's dating some guy her parents approved of, someone more her level, as they put it. Good for her. I hope she finds what she's looking for. But I'm done bending over backward to fit into someone else's world. I've learned that love isn't about how much money you have or how fancy your wedding is. It's about respect, kindness, and being with someone who values you for who you are, not what you can give them. I'll never settle for anything less again.